Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Saturday morning. Before we get into today's show, please do me a small favour, smash a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're on the road to 40k. We're very, very close, so make sure you go and do that right now. And just to say as well, I've literally just been talking to the camera for 5 minutes and then I realised that I wasn't even live. How embarrassing. It's lucky that I realised. I literally was sat here. I was in full swing. I was chatting. And then I looked on my phone and it said that I wasn't live. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? But yeah, I've literally just been talking to myself for the last 5 minutes. So that's a bit embarrassing. But anyway, we move. Let's start the show with some positivity then, shall we? Because the big news I've got for you today is that Chido Obi-Martin can now be considered a Manchester United player. This story broke last night from Fabrizio Romano, and he is reporting the following. He says that Chido Obi-Martin has been informed by Manchester United's management and his agent that the Premier League has now finally approved his move to Manchester United. So if anybody's unsure about what exactly this means, so because of his age and because of the fact that he was a free agent, his contract expired at Arsenal, Manchester United had to get approval from the Premier League for this deal to go through. It's a little bit of a strange situation, so I did a bit of a research, I did a bit of digging into why it's taken so long. So effectively this, if a player's under a certain age and they move from one club to another for no transfer fee at the end of their contract, then the club that they're trying to sign for, so in this case Manchester United, have to pay a compensation fee to the club that they've come from, which is obviously Arsenal in this case. Now, the reason for this is they need to be compensated for the time, the money that they've spent on developing that young player. And I looked into it and it was stuff like, the food, maybe they've given him somewhere to live, like etc, to cover the expenses of what Arsenal have had to spend to this point to develop him to the player he is now. Obviously, we don't usually hear about these types of things because most youth players aren't as high profile as Chido Obi-Martin. Obviously, he's quite a high profile name. He's a player that lots of people already know who he is. Whereas in most cases, like we're not sat here talking about, like a 14-year-old who's joined Manchester United's youth academy. Like no one really focuses on that too much. But obviously in this case, Chido Obi-Martin's, he's already kind of a known player. Obviously, not on the level of someone like a Lamine Yamal, but like, do you know what I mean? In his age bracket, he's considered one of the most exciting kind of young players. So that's why this transfer has been so public and there's been so much talk about it. But I'm looking on my Twitter right now. Fabrizio Romano's put up a picture of Chido Obi-Martin and Eric Cantona together, which is pretty cool. In relation to what the plan is for Chido Obi-Martin, he hasn't played football for 2 or 3 months. The reason for that is obviously whilst the Premier League was signing off this deal, he wasn't allowed to play for Manchester United because he technically wasn't a Manchester United player. So he has just been training on his own. He's not even been able to train at Carrington either. He's had to be training separately, just, with a private trainer. So I don't think he's going to be match fit immediately. That's what's kind of being reported this morning. So it looks like the plan for Chido Obi-Martin is obviously for him to go into the under-21s to get match fitness there, play some games for the under-21s, see how he gets on, and then after that, hopefully then bring him into the first team. So that's kind of the plan. Really, really happy about that. Really, really good. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you think Chido Obi-Martin will become the player we all think he will be? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and make sure you say welcome Chido Obi-Martin in the comments as well. Let's give him a warm welcome, as we always do on this channel. We've got a comment coming in here from Wesley. Wesley says, what do you think about the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer news? We spoke about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer quite a lot yesterday. This is my stance on Erik ten Hag, all right? Because I want to make it clear. I want to make it so there's no way of beating around the bush. I'm backing Erik ten Hag. I'm sticking with Erik ten Hag. But, the main reason for that is because I don't think there's any better options out there. That's my main reason. And I think sacking Erik ten Hag would be a mistake unless you can 100% say there's someone better available. Because I think Erik ten Hag is building something. Yes, it's slower than what we like. Yes, there's still lots of questionable decisions. Yes, some of the results are not good enough. Like, I agree with all of that 100%. You know, I agree with you. And I feel people's frustration because it is frustrating. But when I look at the managerial market at the moment, there really isn't anybody out there. I know there's people like Ruben Amorim, but he's not going to come to Manchester United 5 games into the season when his Sporting Lisbon side are top of the league, winning every single game, you know, absolutely tearing it up. Like, he's not going to do that. Remember, Ruben Amorim's from Lisbon as well. He's, you know, a Lisbon born and, you know, raised. So that's my stance on Erik ten Hag. And I think, you know, to sack Erik ten Hag and bring in someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's just going backwards. I'm not going to sit here and slag off Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I can't be bothered to do that. I'm not, you know, that's not the person I am. But I don't think, you know, sacking Erik ten Hag to sacking Erik ten Hag to bring in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to me isn't progressive. It's not a clever decision, and it's something that would really, really make me question Ineos. You know, like it just doesn't seem logical to me. So my preference would be to stick with Erik ten Hag. Unless it gets really, really bad, like really bad, then maybe we have to have this conversation again. But I still just think, you know, if Man United look at the situation, they'll say they did this end of season review after the FA Cup final, and they decided that Erik ten Hag was the best manager available on the market. They spoke to De Zerbi, they spoke to Thomas Tuchel, they spoke to Kieran McKenna, they spoke to some other people, and they decided that Erik ten Hag was the best manager available at that moment in time. And nothing's changed since then and now. It's not like 5 other world-class managers have become available, you know? If anything, less managers are now available. De Zerbi went to Marseille. Kieran McKenna just signed a long-term contract at Ipswich. And Thomas Tuchel, okay, he's still available, but he was available in the summer. So the point I'm making here is Ineos, I think, have done very well so far. I feel like they're making decisions in a very formulated and sensible way. I don't think they've made any bad decisions so far. And if they came to the conclusion in the summer, after looking at the managerial market, they came to the conclusion that Erik ten Hag was the best manager available, why would they now, after 5 games, say, sack him, and then go back to one of the managers they approached in the summer? Like, it doesn't make any sense. That was literally like a month or 2 months ago, you know? So yeah, I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to Manchester United is even a conversation worth having, to be honest. I think it's media driven. I think it's, you know, driven from the mainstream media to try and put more pressure on Erik ten Hag. And obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming out saying that he'd take the Manchester United job. I mean, I'm not being funny, but he hasn't been offered any jobs since he left Manchester United. He's been without a club for 3 years now? 3.5 years? Like, it's not like he's a manager in demand. Yes, he's good vibes. Yes, he smiles. Yes, he's a legend from a footballing side. But from a managerial perspective, you know, no top club in the summer was looking at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's not like Barcelona wanted him. Bayern Munich wanted him. You know, like, none of these clubs were interested in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So why should Manchester United go back to the manager that was here for 3 years? Yes, the mood was good at points, but won nothing effectively. And at the end of the day, trophies are the most important thing. What would you rather be? Tottenham, who win nothing and sometimes play attractive, entertaining football, or a club that wins trophies? Sometimes the performances are bad, but at the end of the day, we get over the line and we win trophies. I would rather be Manchester United any day of the week. And for me personally, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't the man to get us over the line. As much as Erik ten Hag has got wrong, he has won us a League Cup and an FA Cup in the space of 2 seasons. And I always hear this narrative as well, where people are like, oh, it's been 3 seasons now. We're literally 5 games into the 3rd season of Erik ten Hag's reign, remember? 5 games in. So it's not 3 whole seasons. We've had 2 seasons, complete seasons. We won a trophy in both, and we're now in the 3rd season, at the beginning of the 3rd season. Whereas you look at Arteta at Arsenal, he's won 1 trophy, and he's now going into his 6th season. We're halfway. Is that even right? Yeah, we're halfway. Erik ten Hag's been here for half the amount of time as Mikel Arteta's been at Arsenal, and they've won 1 trophy. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's right, isn't it? So I'm not blindly sticking with Erik ten Hag forever. I just think when you look at the, the options available, then yeah, it kind of says everything to me. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Daniel says if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is that good, he would have another job by now. Yeah, of course, that's what I'm saying. Ant says that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said that he's had offers. Who's he had offers from, though? I haven't seen Ole Gunnar Solskjaer offered any jobs. Let's have a look. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer offered jobs. I mean, it's saying that he got offered the job of technical evaluation officer for the UEFA. That's what it says on Google if you type in Ole Gunnar. I mean, there isn't a single story here on the internet that says that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been offered a job at another top football club. So, yeah. It's a little bit of a long-winded answer, but in short, I don't think there's any truth behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming to Manchester United, to be honest. I think it's just media driven. I think it's very unlikely. And I think for the time being, they will stick with Erik ten Hag. Ant says the cup wins are always great, but the real test and will always be the league. In that respect, Arsenal are far ahead of us right now. Yeah. It's a fair point. I get it, but what would you rather? What would you rather last season? Finish second or win the FA Cup? I would take the FA Cup any day of the week, 100%. We all knew that Man City were going to win the league last season. Anybody who was like, oh, Arsenal's going to win, like they were just deluded Arsenal fans. We all knew during this title race that it was going to be Man City. It's always Man City. They've won it, 5 years in a row? So, is anyone going to remember 20 years down the line and be like, oh, do you remember that Arsenal team that finished second? Oh, it was so great. Like, no one remembers football like that. People remember trophies. They remember success. And so far, Erik ten Hag in 2 seasons has achieved more than what Arteta has in 6 seasons, by way of trophies anyway. Derek says, I don't care about the trophies. The standard of play has dropped completely. What, since Sir Alex Ferguson it has? The standard of play has been awful for 10 years, mate. It's been absolutely terrible for 10 years. Terrible. So I don't really understand this whole narrative as if we were playing like world-class football before Erik ten Hag and Erik ten Hag came in and now we're not. Every single manager we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson, the football has been terrible. Mourinho, parked the bus. Van Gaal played 80% possession with like 1 shot on target. David Moyes, I can't even remember. He was here for like 3 months and got sacked. Rangnick, disaster. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was entertaining at times, but let's be honest, he was playing counter-attacking moments of magic football. It wasn't dominating teams, and a lot of his best moments were when it was COVID and there was no fans in the stadium. So to say that the standards have dropped and all the rest of it, yeah, the standards have dropped. They've been in the mud for 10 years, mate. It makes no difference whether it's Erik ten Hag or David Moyes or Van Gaal. Like, the standard has been that low for such a long period of time. And you have to look at the situation then and say, why has the standards been like that? Why is the football like that? Because you can't just keep blaming managers. Is it the players aren't good enough? Is it the people working behind the scenes aren't good enough? There has to be a reason. And that's why Ineos are here. Ineos are here. They're sorting out all of these problems. They're looking at the situation, and I think it will improve, but it's going to take time. Remember this. For all of those impatient people who seem to think that sacking Erik ten Hag and bringing in Ollie is going to save the day and, oh, great, let's do that. We're 5 games in to Ineos' reign with Erik ten Hag, with a proper structure behind him. 5 games in. The rest of that time was under the Glazers. And some of the best managers ever have failed under the Glazers, haven't they? So, yeah. Right, let's move on from that, though. Otherwise, I'll end up chatting about the manager all day. Let's talk a bit about Diogo Dalot, shall we? So, this story has been quite widely reported yesterday, mainly in the Spanish media. But the news this morning is that apparently Real Madrid are trying to sign Diogo Dalot. Now, just to give you the whole report, apparently Real Madrid were trying to sign Dalot before he joined Manchester United. Obviously, Dalot was at Porto. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this one, to be honest. I don't. I mean, I like Dalot. Do I think he's world class? I don't think he is, to be honest. I think he makes quite a lot of mistakes defensively. I think going forward, he's okay. I don't think he's amazing going forward. He's better than Wan-Bissaka was, but I don't think he's like an unbelievable player going forward. I think he's one of those players that some United fans like really, really hype up. But let's be real here, yeah? He's been here since 2018, Diogo Dalot. He's been here for 8 years, since he was about 18. And I don't really ever remember at any point being like, wow, this guy's world class. I remember Wan-Bissaka had a few seasons where I was like, this guy's the best defensive right back in the world. Unbelievable. And I'm not rubbishing Diogo Dalot. I'm just giving my opinion. I think some people in the fan base make him out to be this like world class player, but he's not on the level of like a Walker or other top right backs. I don't think personally. Would I sell him to Real Madrid? Every player has a value. If Real Madrid are going to give us 60 million for Diogo Dalot, I would take that 100%, because I think Mazraoui, and take this how you like, I personally think Mazraoui is a better right back than Diogo Dalot is. Mazraoui, since he's joined Manchester United, has literally not put a foot wrong. Unbelievable. Diogo Dalot has mistakes in him. We saw him give away a clumsy penalty against Southampton. That could have been game over. He makes a lot of mistakes, I think, and I don't think he's that great going forward either. I like him, though. He's a decent player. He's decent, but the point I'm making here is it's not like a player like, say, Garnacho or Kobe Mainoo or Ahmad or Martinez, where I'd be, maybe not Martinez, I'd say Ahmad, Kobe Mainoo and Garnacho. Those three, I'd be like, we've got to hold on to at all costs. They're the future. I don't really see it with Diogo Dalot, I think he's decent. I like him. I'd be happy for him to stay. But if Real Madrid came in with a big offer, I would definitely take the money, because I think Mazraoui is much better than him at right back. And then that would then allow us to spend, a decent chunk of money on a new left back, which is obviously the priority. We need a new left back, definitely. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this one materializes. Apparently Real Madrid want to sign Diogo Dalot. Yeah. Christopher says Dalot is not very consistent, but to his credit, he is always available, but he's not United standard for me. Fair enough. Daniel says Dalot is good, but not world class. Stephanie says Dalot's biggest attributes are his availability and versatility. I would agree with that 100%. Wow, someone says I would not sell Dalot even for £100 million. Crazy. I would sell Dalot for £100 million. I'd probably sell him for £50 million, to be honest. We bought him for, let me just have a little look. We bought him for only £18 million. So if you sold him for 50, that would be a £32 million profit on your books. Like, Man United can't shy away from deals like that at the moment. He has just signed a new contract. He's here until 2028. I don't think Man United will want to sell him. I think, what I will say is this, though. This season, where Erik ten Hag has changed the formation, so when we have the possession, our right back and left back invert into the midfield. I think Dalot is really, really good in that position. And I like what Erik ten Hag's doing in relation to the formation, where he's got Mazraoui and Dalot, once we're in position, playing as extra midfielders to kind of pad out that midfield. And I think that's why we've been a little bit harder to play through this season, because we've had those extra two people in the midfield. But yeah, I like Dalot. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He clearly loves the club. He's always available. He never looks like he's complaining. He's got lots and lots of positives. I just, I'm not one of those people who's going to sit here and say, Dalot should not be for sale at any price, because I don't believe, I'm not that fond of him, if that makes sense. Whereas people like Mainoo, people like Garnacho, people like Ahmad, I think they have such a big future ahead of them and have such such high potential. Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and hit the like button, that'd be really, really appreciated. We're trying to get to 500 likes on this video, so make sure you go and do that right now. And if this is your first time watching, please also subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to we're on the road to 100k, but we're currently on the road to 40k, so go and do that. Les says, I think Dalot has been our best player for the last 2 seasons. I would say Mainoo was probably our best player last season. And then the year before that, I can't really remember. Probably Rashford the year before that. He got 30 goals, didn't he? I would say. But obviously that's your opinion, that's fine. Ant says, let's be honest, if we could wave a magic wand and make Luke Shaw fully fit, Dalot would be benched. That's a fact. I agree. I would 100% start Mazraoui over Diogo Dalot. 100%. Without a shadow of a doubt. If I had to pick one of those two players to play at right back, I would go with Mazraoui. Definitely. Lightning says it was Marcus Rashford and Casemiro the year before that. Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Casemiro in his first season was incredible. And last year, I'd go with Kobbie Mainoo. So obviously, you're entitled to say Dalot's your favourite player for the last 2 years. But for me, yeah, I wouldn't agree. I think he defensively makes far too many mistakes for me. And I don't think he offers that much going forward either, to be honest. But I still like him. I'm just giving my honest opinion, Whereas, people like Kobbie Mainoo, I think for his age, he's flawless for an 18-year-old. Is he 18 still, or was he 19 now? Let me check. I know someone's going to call me out in the chat if I get it wrong. Let's have a look. He's just turned 19. For a 19-year-old, Kobbie Mainoo was flawless, I think. And he's only 19, which is just absolutely astonishing to be that level of player at the age of 19. Like, I look at Mainoo play and I think, he must be like in his mid-20s, But at the age of 19, to be able to, be that composed and be able to put in that many good performances on a weekly basis is incredible. Absolutely incredible. In relation to fee, though, I don't know. I don't know how much Manchester United would want for Diogo Dalot. Probably a lot. Probably 50, 60 million would be my kind of, estimate. And just to give you the full perspective on this story, it does say that Real Madrid are ideally looking to go for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, his contract expires at Liverpool, I think, in June next year. But if they don't get him, they're going to then try and get Diogo Dalot. So, yeah. Nigel says, I like the way that Dalot drops into the midfield. Yeah, I like that as well. But remember, that's Erik ten Hag's tactic. So for all the people saying Erik ten Hag's clueless, he doesn't know what he's doing, the reason that Dalot and Mazraoui are playing in the midfield now, once we have the possession, is to stop our midfield getting overrun, to stop us having so many chances like we did last season. So that's a tweak that Erik ten Hag's made and is working. So all of these people who are like, we don't have a style of play, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's clueless, he clearly does, because he's identified that last season our midfield was getting run through every single game, and he identified that, every game we were having 20 plus shots against us. He changes it, so he inverts Mazraoui and Dalot into the midfield, and it solved that problem. So you have to give Erik ten Hag some credit sometimes for all those people who hate him. What else we got? Stephanie says it's a shame that Malacia is not available. Malacia's back training. I just don't think he's match fit yet, which is a shame, yeah. Because we do need a left-footed left back, definitely. Really, really badly. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. Please make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you are new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Have a lovely day, everybody, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye for now.